Welcome, friends. This is Texans Playbook. I'm Drew Doherty here outside NRG Stadium on a gorgeous spring afternoon. And we've got such a fun show for you today because got to do some reading and got to do so with some kiddos around town. Plus, an all-pro member of the Texans secondary had some eyebrow-raising thoughts about that crew and the future of the team. But we begin with the new president, Mike Tomman. He sat down with voice of the Texans, Mark Vandermeer, as well as radio sideline reporter John Harris, and they had a nice conversation. Here's part of that chit-chat.
In studio with us now, new president of the Houston Texans, Mike Tomman, joining us. Mike, great to have you with us. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're going to get to know you, and we'll get into your background. Johnny's already broken down all the Georgetown football tapes. So we'll do that part later.
60 seconds?
Well, it was a lot longer than mine, so you're good.
So let's get into this, though. What attracted you to this opportunity, the Houston Texans? Here you are. Tell us about that.
Yeah, no, it was a great process for me to go through to really get to know this opportunity. I think thought about it in a few different ways. First was the NFL. I think the health of the NFL as a league on a global stage could not be stronger. And so when you look towards where the league's going in the future, it's pretty exciting. You know, I think the game not only here but globally. So that was certainly appealing. I think the other side was really understanding ownership. You know, I've been in sports and entertainment for almost 25 years at this point, and I've been fortunate enough to be a number of different places. And one thing that I can say sitting in front of you today that is extremely important is ownership. You know, you can't underestimate the value of having good ownership. And so I had the chance to get to know Cal and Hannah both, and certainly was very aware of Bob and Janice's legacy as well. And having the opportunity to sit in front of them and see how genuinely they cared about the team, the city, and have these big aspirations for what it can be in the future, that gave me goosebumps. That was special. And so I looked at that. I was like, okay, you have the league, you have the right ownership, and then you start looking at the team. Team is in a great spot, you know, certainly fun to watch, but, you know, really in a position where you have these cornerstones to keep building with Nick and Coach and the offense with CJ's leadership, certainly a stout defense. Feel really good about the team on the field. And then you really start thinking about, okay, well, where's all this happening? Where is this all going to happen? And had a chance to really look at Houston. Houston as a market, you really look at it as truly an international city, a world-class city. And what makes Houston so unique is it has all that global appeal in a very humble manner. You know, you have such a great base. And then I drilled down into the fan base. And from a distance, before accepting the job, you know, it's just a great reputation of what the Texans fan base brings to the table. You know, you have a younger fan base when you put it up towards the rest of the NFL, but you have such a deep history in football in this city. And I look at both those things as, gosh, look where it is right now. And ultimately, you weigh all that together, look where it will be. And so, to me, this was a pretty easy decision. You know, I felt really fortunate to have the opportunity. And it was one that I don't see any executive that wouldn't run to this thing when you kind of look at it through that lens.
Mike, you talked about being in sports business for about 25 years. Now you're on a team side as opposed to maybe working for an organization where maybe you work with other teams and organization. I don't know if you've been here long enough to be able to kind of tell the difference between being on that side. We used to talk about in public accounting. There were people that worked as accountants for a business, and there were ones that worked in public accounting when they were auditors. Is that kind of the same for you? Like now you're working for a company, now you're working for a team. Is there any difference that you see in that?
Well, yes, there is. I think the unique place, the fortunate place that I sit in is I have the vantage point from both. And so I started off my career on the team side. Yeah. I was predominantly in the NBA, but fortunate enough to touch a number of different sports. And living on the team side, you understand the seasonality, the cadence. really one of the things that I really missed was the passion.
Yeah.
The passion in your individual team. Everything that you do is pushing towards making that better.
Right.
And then, I spent call it the second half of my career thus far on that agency side.
Right.
I can't remember what accountant you were comparing that to. Never had that analogy, but
it's okay.
But when I look at having the ability to also see the sports industry more from a platform standpoint, it was one of those things where it was like, gosh, you have both vantage points and you can put them to use here in this situation here in Houston.
Absolutely.
You were co-president of Legends, so you worked on SoFi, Allegiant Stadium, you worked on the Star. What didn't you work on? So how did that experience help what you're going to do here?
I think what that allowed me to do was see major processes that can be transformative. What organizations can do to optimize them and make the most of them. And it gave me the opportunity to see a number of different best practices. And candidly, I got to see some mistakes too. Okay. And so you have the ability to bring all that here and channel all that into one focus, which is growing the Texans fan base and business.
Cool.
Along those lines, Mike, and I know there was an article that came out of Chronicle about stadium versus renovation and all those kind of things, and obviously people connecting the dots with your experience with stadiums and all that. I'll ask this question, whether you want to get into what's going to happen or not, but the value of having a stadium like Allegiant, like SoFi, what does that kind of afford the organization, its fans, when you put in a new stadium like that? What kind of experiences do they draw upon and what they get out of getting a new stadium or something of that ilk?
Well, I think just to clarify, our focus right now, we're looking at all options.
Right.
Our lease is up in 7 years. So, the prudent thing is to start understanding how you can best position the organization and the fan base in the future. So you start you start those things now. And our focus has been on renovation, focused in on NRG and renovating the stadium to make it a world-class experience. We have world-class fans. We want to show off the city of Houston. We want to have a huge competitive advantage for the team on the field when you come here. And to do that, those are drivers in how we're looking at this renovation and where we want to take NRG. My experience is on both sides. New builds, you named a number of them, but also significant renovations as well. I was fortunate enough to spend a good amount of time on the renovation in Madrid, Spain, for Real Madrid. They did close to $800 million renovation of the Bernabeu. And when you look at those things, it really forces you to prioritize what is important. And for us, fan experience is at the top of that heap. How do you make sure, as I said, this is a great place for Texans fans to come and stay? This is a great place to show off to the rest of the world. Right. And this is a great place for home advantage for our team. So those are some of the things that really kind of drive in that decision. And, being in those past projects, you get to see some best practices and you get to see some mistakes. Sure. So we'll be able to bring that to the table.
Stay with us because next on Texans Playbook, we've got more of that 1-on-2 with President Mike Tomman and the Texans radio crew.
Texans Playbook is sponsored by Community Coffee, strong as our roots, by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans, and by your Houston area Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
Back here on Texans Playbook, and hey, we're having a good time and we want you to keep having that great time, so make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and you have the Texans mobile app and you're following us at HoustonTexans.com. Here's part 2 of our conversation with new Texans president, Mike Tomman.
The idea of team, how you work together in a team atmosphere, make sure you can contribute wherever you can. period, next sentence, always staying focused on the team.
Yep.
And those are great things in our business. I think, when you look at great business organizations, they're aligned, they know their goals, they know how they contribute, and it is truly about the organization or the team. And so easily draw that from my experiences in college.
I've got one more business-related question. So you're a global thinker, obviously, and worked all around the world. And here's the NFL playing more international games than ever. And the Texans have been out of the country twice to play games, and I'm sure there's something coming in the future. Whenever it is, we don't know yet. But tell us about your take on that, on the NFL going global, because you've been involved when you're working with Real Madrid and even the NBA and some of these other sports. They have that presence. The NFL is really making a lot of inroads.
They are. I think the expansion, the games overseas or abroad, have really started to gain some traction. This is a longer play, so it's not like you're going to do 2 or 3 things and then all of a sudden you're a global team. It doesn't work that way. But where the NFL has positioned the teams to start engaging and making other fans of sport aware, and then walking them through that kind of nurturing process to true fandom is great. And I think when you think about the Texans, there are so many things that people are attracted to about the team and the organization that truly, I think go beyond boundaries, go beyond borders. And those things are what we really want to drive forward and put forth in front of the right regions. And so we're excited about where the game is going globally, and we're focused in on how we expand our reach, certainly regionally first, and then globally.
I remember I was driving the Senior Bowl, Mike, when I heard you got the job, and I remember just as I was driving, I thought, God, what's the first thing he's going to do? So I ask it, presidents always ask, hey, first 100 days, you're going to do this. First couple months that you're in the building, what did you want to accomplish right away, setting you up for further stuff down the road?
The first piece, and this was one of the things that really attracted me to the opportunity, sitting with Cal and Hannah, and what they put forth on the importance on culture. There's a lot of things, a lot of big transformative opportunities we talked about.
Yeah.
But the first priority, which I asked, I was like, what's the priority from your mind's eye? And it was their people, and it was the culture. And so that's where I'm focused right now.
Yeah.
I've had an opportunity to sit with a number of our different charge leaders, our business leaders. I'm still doing that. I'm sitting with the different teams. But that is my main focus right now. Yeah. We implemented some vibe. Earlier, which, the point is like, hey, this isn't an accounting firm, right?
Yeah.
This is
right about that.
You're coming to a really, really special place in sports and entertainment in the NFL. And so that vibe should be all over. And so we have walk-in music now when you're walking into the office, because this should feel a little different, because it is different.
Yeah.
So really the people, and then that's, I don't know if I'll be able to hang my hat on putting music around the organization, but that's an early step.
All right, since you brought it up, a couple of quick ones here. Music.
Oh, yeah.
Give us a couple of your faves, not maybe your ultimate favorite, but 2 or 3 of your favorite artists.
Oh man, I'm pretty eclectic. Okay. I love music. I don't have a musical bone in my body, just for clarity, not one. But I love listening. I grew up listening to music, all types of music. So I range. I will go from, I think about, my days in the weight room, which was a lot of more heavy metal to hardcore rap. And then, I think as I mellow out, I'm over the last couple decades more into country. But I range everything from rock to rap, hip hop, country, jazz, soul. Recency bias. I just got out of the car. I was rocking out probably too loud to the Doobie Brothers. So.
Very nice. Very nice. That's my era. Very nice.
I will tell you this, though. I had my own walk-up music for the last time, as you know, addressing our organization, our business ops. And Sunil who's one of our leaders on the legal side, is also our
DJ.
Our DJ.
Yes.
And so,
Wait a second. Sunil's the DJ?
He is.
yeah, he has to defend his title, but yes,
That's right.
he is.
Make him do that every week.
And he chose Enter Sandman for me. So maybe that was the vibe I was giving off.
Well, not really, because you don't want to put people to sleep.
Yeah, no,
You
but
know,
it gets them fired up.
But I mean,
John.
the
It's-
song itself.
the closer comes into Enter
Like,
Sandman.
I get that.
Do you know the song?
Oh, yeah, I know.
I don't know.
Of course I know this
sleep
song.
to that song.
Well, I mean, that's what Enter Sandman means.
No,
I'm
it's
thinking
not
of
the meaning.
of the
Oh,
song.
it's not the
We're that
meaning.
deep. We're not
I mean,
that
Virginia
deep.
Tech didn't take the song as its own because they were putting people to sleep. But I'm just thinking,
That's
the meaning
exactly
of the
right.
Song, that's all I'm saying.
It is a
That's all I'm
Hokie
saying.
thing, not a Hoya thing.
exactly
and I know
right.
what a Hoya means, by the way. I think it was from an old shear, right? The Hoyas, and then it just became
Keep
a
going.
Hoya Saxa. Is that it?
yeah.
That's it. And I don't know. I get lost after that. But it's a Greek thing, right?
Yeah, it means what rocks. Like they're strong like rocks.
You'd think I would know this, being who I am. So, all right, this is the most important question. We'll leave
Boy,
you with this.
I know where this is going.
Tex-Mex or Texas barbecue? You got to pick one, and you got to put the other on waivers. What's it going to be, Mike?
Waivers, like you don't get it?
Don't get it at all.
Just for now. I don't know. Just for sake of conversation. What's your
Can I give
preference?
some context?
Sure.
So I would go barbecue. My wife would go Tex-Mex.
Oh, so here's
So
the
I'm going to go
decision.
Tex-Mex.
Very good decision.
Smart. Very smart. Okay. You don't eat like Nick does, do you?
Well, you know what? I don't know if I know his eating habits as well enough.
The fact that you picked barbecue and didn't
Yeah.
hesitate, that's good because that question of Tex-Mex or barbecue put Nick in a pretzel.
Nick's going Italian.
Probably.
Well, as his
Somewhat.
ultimate cheat food, but
Yeah,
he's
it's a
eating
cheat
alfalfa sprouts and other things usually.
Yeah,
Anyway,
most times.
Mike, thanks so much for joining us and good luck.
I appreciate you guys. So excited to be here.
After a quick timeout, Derek Stingley Jr. has something to say about the future of this team. In 2022, the Texans spent the third overall choice in the NFL draft on Derek Stingley Jr. And last season, he blossomed into an all-pro corner for the good guys. He recently had some nice things to say about the rest of the secondary and the direction of the Houston Texans.
If you're just joining us, we've had a lot going on. If the Texans win and the Colts lose later today against Denver, Houston will win a second consecutive AFC South title. Miami needs to win and get help. Here's a long pass, looking for Hill. And it's picked off. It's intercepted. Stingley's done it again. Stingley has done it again.
Well, I mean, being all pro, like, it's cool. Like, it's cool to hear.
Derek Stingley Jr., first team All-Pro.
Like, Kalen, he been calling me that since training camp. But I'm like, dude, why you keep saying that? Like, but at the same time, like, just with anything else, like, you still got to prepare the same. You still got to go out there and show, like, who you are. That's my mentality with anything, like, good or bad. Like, you just got to continue doing what you're doing.
Houston, where Derek Stingley Jr. has made a significant impact.
He's an elite talent, and he has been since the age of 15.
First team All-Pro, and deservedly so. All the way through this season, no one's played better on the corner.
Quickly sidearm, intercepted off the deflection by Stingley.
Kamari, Kalen, those two guys right there, they say that they see what I'm doing and then they try to do it some type of way. But from the stuff that I take from them, they always 100%. They gonna go get the ball. They just play with a whole nother level of intensity that just, it's crazy. Like, just watching it, like, they're doing stuff that is not normal. Caleb Bullock, 5 picks. Oh, he could have broke a rookie record. Kamari just being his craziness, like, every single play, like, he just doing something. When Kamari got his first pick, like, it was crazy. Like, everybody running from the sideline, like, from the defense running to the end zone, like, and I'm coming from far away, like, just trying to get over there. That was a good moment. That was a great moment.
It's intercepted by Lassiter. Kamari Lassiter takes it away.
I feel like us as a team, we kind of gelled together. every day we just got closer.
It's picked off. Stingley got it. Another interception. What an offensive play.
As long as you're around, like your teammates, you know how they talk on the field, you know where they're gonna be at. You don't see that with a lot of teams. Of course, people play hard, but you just gotta know if you put the Texas uniform on, like you have to play with a certain physicality, the swarm, and that's real. That's what it means to be a Texan for real, for real.
Good stuff there from Sting, and we've got great stuff coming up after the break. The Texans are reading to some area kiddos. Don't you move a muscle. Texans Playbook returns in a moment. We're back here on Texans Playbook with the emphasis on the second part of that word, book, playbook. We got our nose in some books with some kiddos. Literacy is super important to the franchise, so here is a little bit more about some good deeds done by the players, the fans, and more. Last week, the Houston Texans launched Reading with the Pros, presented by Kroger at Henderson Elementary School in Magnolia Park, reinforcing the team's commitment to improving third-grade literacy. As part of this initiative, Texans employees, along with team legends, Toro, the Houston Texans cheerleaders, and members of the Texans Fan Council gathered to kick off the weekly program. Throughout the spring semester, volunteers will read with second-grade students, helping them build the foundational skills needed to meet third-grade reading standards. This milestone is especially significant as third grade marks the pivotal shift from learning to read to reading to learn. Through this initiative, presented by Kroger, the Texans aim to empower young readers with the confidence and skills they need to succeed, both in the classroom and beyond. Through this initiative, the Texans aim to empower young readers with the confidence and skills they need to succeed, both in the classroom and beyond. Hey, make sure you're reading, okay? It's important. I love reading. I'm reading a book right now. It's a good one. I'm not going to tell you about it, though, on camera. If you see me, ask me and say, hey, Drew, what are you reading? And I'll tell you. Anyways, it's time to wrap up the show. And another guy who's a good bookworm is Josh Seid. He's really the brains and the brawn of this whole operation to put this thing together. So thank you, Josh. You're doing a terrific job. We appreciate you checking us out. We want you to do so again next week. Until then, H is up, H-Town.